What's up YouTube? Welcome to another tutorial. Today we will be going over how I created this logo animation and scroll bar animation for Rosie Hearn. Rosie is an illustrator. She makes these beautiful illustrations here, and we recently finished her website in Webflow, and I'm going to show you how we did these little bits, and they're really easy, as you're about to find out. So we're going to be working in Illustrator, After Effects and Webflow. So if you don't have those, go and download them. So jumping in to Illustrator first, Rosie very kindly sent me over her logo. Here it is. At the moment, all of these sort of shapes are on one layer, so we want to put the R onto its own layer and the H onto its own layer so we can animate them separately. We could, if we wanted to, animate the glints as well and put all of those on separate layers, but for now we're not going to do that. We're just going to go nice and easy. So I'm just going to drag a box around one shape, Command X to cut, make a new layer, and Command F to paste in place. I'm going to rename this layer R, rename this layer H, save, job done. Illustrator is finished. Now, there's two main ways of getting your files from Illustrator into After Effects. One, the best way, is to use a plugin called Overlord. Now, we're not going to do that today because it does cost, I think, $45. It's completely worth it. I use it every single day. I'll put the link in the description, but here it is. It's by Battleaxe, and you can come and just download it, and it's brilliant. And what it does is, if I had the panel open, I could just select this, press one button, and it appears as a vector shape in After Effects, and it takes half a second. It's amazing. I use it all the time. But we're going to go old school for this one, so we're just going to save. We've got these on separate layers, and we're going to come into After Effects. We're going to make a new project, so you just go File, New Project. That was easy. New composition down here, or you could go to Composition, New Composition, but I'm going to press this button. I'm going to call this RH for Rosie Hearn. We're going to do this a logo animation. That makes sense. Now I'm making my sort of work area 500 pixels square, even though the actual animation that we're going to do in Webflow is going to be 70 pixels. I'm making it a lot bigger so I can see what I'm doing. And as we're exporting this through Bodymovin, which is an After Effects plugin, this will export it as an SVG animation. And if this makes no sense, don't worry, we're going to go over it now. So previously, animating, people would export as GIFs probably, or MOVs or MP4s or something like that. The problem with this type of animation in this situation is that the file size would be really heavy. It would be really, really big because it's using pixel data. It's basically image sequences. With SVG animation, it's vector animation. So rather than it exporting pixel data, it exports code. And this makes the file types really, really small, and it makes the load times very, very quick. And this was created by the design team at Airbnb. They created Lottie, which is this whole sort of vibe, if you will. And the way to sort of create Lottie files is, I think there's a lot of ways. The way I do it is using a plugin called Bodymovin, and you put it into After Effects. Here's the plugin here. So I'll put the link in the description, and here it says $20, but it does say name your own price, so you can put in 0 if you want to, but I would give them some money because it's a great bit of kit. So that being said, we're going to animate and export it as code. Sounds terrifying. You don't need to know the code at all. It does it all for you, and you'll see how quick it is. It's brilliant. So 500 by 500, 30 frames per second to get it nice and smooth. The duration, I'm going to do 6 seconds. You can obviously do whatever you want with this. Hit OK, and here we are. So sometimes you might be quite zoomed in here. If you are, you can press Shift, hold Shift and press /, and that fits your canvas to your composition to your viewport sort of dedicated area. Now, just one final plugin that we need to talk about is Anchor Point Mover here. When I bring something in, I can set the anchor point to the middle really easily. It's just a really great quality of life thing. And also Keyframe Wingman here, which we're not going to use today, but they come as part of a package which is free, and it's called Animation Composer from Mr. Horse. It's brilliant. I'll link it below. Download it. It's got a ton of good stuff in it, but for now we're just going to be using Anchor Point Mover, and you'll see why in just a moment. So coming back to After Effects, we're going to drag in our Illustrator file. So just come back to my files here, drag it in here, and then you have two options. You can bring it as footage or composition. If you bring it as footage, this is where you can sort of choose to pick one layer or something like that, if perhaps you've got a really heavy document. But this is really like, we need all of the content that's in it, so I'm just going to click composition, hit OK, and it's brought in a folder with the layers, and it's also brought in this full composition, which we don't need, so we can delete that one. And then we can twirl this down, grab both of these, drag them in. And now at the moment, if you see, if I select on the R, this is like the whole size. So this R is currently 500 by 500. We don't really want that. So what we can do is we can hold Control, click down here, create shapes from vector layers. And now what we have, if we delete this one, it's outlined it. So now we just have the R by itself with no background or anything like that, which is fantastic. So let's do the same for this one, create shapes from vector, delete our Illustrator layer, and we can come in here and delete our Illustrator layers up here, and it's looking pretty good. So we're going to save it as RH logo animation. Always save your work. I don't know how many times I haven't saved it and lost everything. After Effects is great though, because it does a lot of auto saves. So anchor point mover, you've installed it, you've followed all of the instructions. Now you can see our anchor point is here, and the anchor point for the H is here in the same place. So if we select this and just put the anchor point in the middle, look at that, and it's perfectly centered, and you can obviously move it to any place you want, but for this animation I'm going to put it into the middle. Now select both layers by holding Shift, press P, and this brings up our position properties down here. Click the stopwatch and we've made our first keyframes. Super easy. As I drag the playhead across, I'm going to animate every second. So I'm going to drag it across, hold Shift, and it will snap at 1 second. Deselect, and I'm just going to select the R, and now all I need to do, because I've already set a keyframe here on a position, if I change the position, so if I just move this around using my arrow keys, it's set a new position keyframe here. So same for the H, move it down and around a bit, drag across to 2 seconds, move the H up and across a bit, move the R down and across a bit. So you can see I'm just doing this very roughly for now. As you can see, I didn't quite get that in the right place, and if you're struggling to see, you can either use this to zoom in to your timeline, or you can use the plus and minus buttons on your keyboard to zoom in and make sure you're animating in the exact right place. So we're just going to keep sort of bobbing these around. I'm not being too careful here. I want it to feel quite natural. That's probably not too natural. Maybe we'll come over here a bit. So just playing around with it. Obviously when we export it, and if it looks terrible, you can just go back in and do it again. So you can see how quick it is. Move this up here, and then we're sort of at the end. So our last keyframes, I'm just going to copy the first keyframe, drag my playhead to the end, and paste. Now you can have to do this layer at a time. You can't do this. Oh, you can't do this on every layer. So I couldn't select both of these. I can select them all like this, but if I were to paste them, you need to do it one at a time. So I'm just copying one and pasting it there. And I'm going to zoom in here, and I'm just going to drag the end of my animation into here. You'll just do that. It's good practice. When you drag your playhead to the end in After Effects, for some reason it always sort of stops a frame before. I don't know why, so I always just go in and shorten it a tiny bit. Now if we play our animation, just by pressing spacebar plays the animation. Look at that, they're just floating around. Now I know this looks incredibly boring. Don't worry about it, because if this was a final animation and it wasn't going to be interactive, we would add some easing to this and make it feel a bit smoother and look a bit better. But because it's going to be on scroll, we just want it to be very linear. We don't need it to do anything fancy. So let's just add in a little bit of rotation. So select both layers, press R to bring up rotation, hit the stopwatch to make new layers, and then if we press U, this now shows us all of the keyframes that have been added. So if we'd have animated loads of properties, it would expand and show every single keyframe that's been added. It's really helpful to sort of know that you're getting your timings in the right place. So if we hold Shift, it will snap. So with our selected, so we've got rotation, we can just rotate here, we can drag this, rotate that one a little bit. Maybe let's rotate this one this way a bit. Now as you can see here, these aren't quite lined up. Haha, I made a mistake. So I can press plus to zoom in, and I can just drag this one there and zoom back out. And again here, another mistake. I mean, it doesn't really matter for this, but you know, always good to be precise. And we're just gonna rotate this back a little bit, rotate this one forwards a little bit. And same again, just tiny little tweaks. Cool, look at these keyframes are all over the place. My bad guys, sorry, I made a lot of mistakes there. So as you can see, not being too careful, I'm just randomly rotating it a bit because I want it to feel a bit, you know, natural. If something's bobbing around in the wind, it's not, you know, it's always a bit, you know, it's not perfect, is it? You never know exactly where something's going to go when the wind is going to change direction. Let's just move these back so we can see what's happening. And again, what we want to do is we want to take our original anchor points, but we know that they were set at 0, so we can just type in 0 there. Okay, there it is. Bobbing around, rotating, how easy was that? So we can just save that. And once you've installed Bodymovin, you come up to Window, and it'll be in Extensions, select Bodymovin. You'll see just how quick this is now. So this is your sort of export panel. So if you've got lots of compositions, they'll all appear as rows here. You have to select the one that you want, and you'll get this nice little fill in here. You can have a look at all of these settings, but just leave it at the default for these purposes. If you wanted to export this as an HTML file, just so you could preview it in browser, you can select demo on here, which is sometimes quite helpful. We don't need to do that for now, so we're just going to leave glyphs. We're not using any glyphs, but I just use default settings, press save. Destination folder you have to set, and what we're going to do is we're going to come to, I think I made a folder, tutorial files. I've got a folder called Lottie files. I'm going to save it in there. Render, here's the progress bar done. So that took about 0.2 seconds. We can close this window, we can save our project, and that's After Effects done. So Illustrator done, After Effects done. Time to jump into Webflow. So Webflow, my site, new project, blank. We're just going to start with a blank project. We're going to call this Rosie Hearn logo animation. That's cool for now. Create. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some content into the site so we have something to scroll, so we can test that it's working. So inside my body, I'm going to hold Command and E, which lets you search for anything. I'm going to start writing section, and then here we got a section. So I'm going to rename this class section. I'm going to give it a width of 100%. And I'm going to give it a height of 100 VH, which is viewport height. I'm going to set it to flex, vertical, and then center everything up. Now inside this section I'm just going to put, let's put a header. So let's say this is dope, because it is. With the H2 selected, I'm going to come down and I'm going to affect all H2 headings. Just for now I'm going to give it a bit of margin at the bottom. I'm just going to put some text in here so we can look at something, as otherwise we wouldn't just be scrolling a blank page. Let's put in a paragraph, and then I'm going to give this a class of P, and I'm going to say have a max width of, let's say, 600 pixels. I'm going to center it, and I'm going to drop the opacity on the text to 50%, just so we've got some nice contrast. And there we go, we've got a section. So I can twirl that up and down here. I'm going to copy and paste it. So now I have 2. And this section I'm going to give it a combo class. I'm going to call it alternate. So this is section and alternate, and I'm just going to give it a background color, maybe something like this. There we go, just so now we can sort of see when we preview we've got some content that scrolls. And let's just, for good measure, let's paste it in again. So we've got, now you see I've just copied and pasted the first one, it's appeared right underneath it. We want these to alternate, so I can just drag this section below this one. There we go, and then take the second one, copy and paste, drag it down there, and then we should have 4 sections. This is dope. Okay, so that's sort of our Webflow project set up. So we've got some content to scroll so we can see what we're animating. Now to actually make this animation is so easy. Okay, right, here we go. So with body selected, Command E to search, I'm going to put in a div block. This is going to act as our container, which is going to hold our animation. So I'm going to call this animation container. That makes sense. We know it's going to be 70 pixels by 70 pixels just because I've already designed this before. Obviously, whatever size you want to do it, wherever you want to put it, go nuts. Position, here's the important part. At the moment it's set to static, so it's just at the very, very bottom of everything. We want it to sit at the front, in front of everything, so everything scrolls behind it. So we set our position to fixed. And then we can select here, we want it to be in the bottom left, and just so I can show you, let's give it a background color for now of black. Now as we scroll down, you can see here that this stays in the corner the whole time. That's exactly what we want. So we set the position. Sorry, I just accidentally closed the video recording. So we've set up our container. Everything's working great. Let's come back here, let's get out of preview mode. Let's turn the background color of this container off. So we come down to background, and we could just set it back to transparent, but actually if we hold Option and click, it will just reset it to its original properties. Good to know, that one. So inside this, at the moment you see it's come at the bottom. I'm just going to move it up to the top here. Because its position is set to fixed, it doesn't matter. This is just, you know, in terms of organization. So in here I want to add a Lottie animation. So I hold Command E, start writing Lottie. There it is. Lottie animation has appeared inside there. So replace Lottie sequence. So we don't have any files here we can upload. If we come to Lottie files, there it is. That's what we exported. What we could do is we could cancel that and come back to our Finder, come in here, and we can rename this JSON file, and we could call it RH logo animation, because we're good designers, so you know we need to keep our shit labeled. Probably shouldn't have sworn, my bad. So let's come back to animation container. This one here, you can click the settings, replace Lottie sequence, upload, and here it is. So we just open, wait for the green tick, job done. There it is. So we've got some settings here, so you could choose to loop it or play it in reverse and stuff. So I'm using its built-in duration. That's it. We can see it's 178 frames. It lasts 5.93 seconds. That's fine. So there we go. If we preview, now we can see it's just playing by itself. We don't want to do that, do we? So we're going to come back. What we want to do is we want to set up a scroll animation. So with the body selected, we're going to come over to our animation, our interactions panel here, and we're going to add a page trigger to say whilst the page is scrolling, on scroll we're going to play a new animation, and you can see that this will be triggered on desktop, tablet, landscape and phone portrait. So you could turn these off if you didn't want it to work on certain, if you didn't want it to animate on certain breakpoints. We want it on everything, so we're going to select play a scroll animation. There are currently no animations that we've created, so we'll make a new one and we'll call this logo animation. Hit enter, and now what we need to sort of pick something to animate. So we come down into here, we select our Lottie animation, and we click the plus here at 0%. So 0% is the top of our screen, 100% is the bottom. That's of all of our content. So this will be the bottom of the 4th section that we created. So here I'm going to click the plus. I'm going to select Lottie. Easy. And now at the top we want this to be played 0 frames. So frame 0 at the start, and at the end frame 0. We want it to be frame 100. So we can either type that in, like 100% I mean, or we can drag this bar up to 100%. And now if we check our preview, it's not playing by itself. As we scroll, it's playing. It's that easy. There you go. Really advanced animation. Took like 2 seconds in Webflow. Okay, easy. So that's the logo animation done. So now let's do that scroll bar across the bottom. Now I know I want it to be 7 pixels tall, like 7 pixels high, and I want it to sit underneath this. So this animation container, I'm going to give it 7 pixels of margin at the bottom. So if I write 7, you can see down here it's just bumped it up by 7. And now body selected, I'm going to add a new div, and I'm going to call this progress bar. That sounds good. And let's drag this up here. And we want this to be, its width to be 100% and its height to be 7px. So there we go, and we need to set its position to be fixed as before, and this time we'll select this one so it's fixed across the bottom. And then let's give it a background color so we can see it, and let's maybe go for a similar sort of pinky vibe that we have on Rosie's website, something like this. So if we preview now, we can see we've got our bar at the bottom, our logo animation is still playing, and our bar and logo are visible the whole time. That's exactly what we want. Now all we need to do is add another interaction. So with body selected, I'm going to come to my interactions panel. So you can see we've got while page is scrolling, play the logo animation. We're going to add another one, while page is scrolling. We want it to affect all of the breakpoints again. We're going to play a scroll animation. We could select the logo animation again, but that would be stupid. So we're going to add a new one, and we're going to call this progress bar animation. Hit enter. Select what we're going to animate. It's the progress bar. Now this time we're going to animate its size. Okay. So we have its width and its height properties here. So at 0%, so at the top of the screen, we want its width to be 0% and its height to be 7 pixels. And then at the bottom, we want its width to be 100% and its height to be 7 pixels. Now if we come and preview this here, no bar, and as we scroll down, the bar is just filling up. And then we scroll back down and the bar is unfilling, scroll up, scroll down, all done. That's as easy as it is. Obviously this is looking a bit boring, but you know, you can design whatever you want. Just think of the possibilities with scroll animations. So you can design anything in After Effects and then just play it on scroll. It could be in the background. You could do something clever, sort of winding around your blocks and your text and stuff. So I mean, that's it. I'll put all of the links to the sort of stuff we've discussed in the description below. If you did enjoy this content and got something from it, please do subscribe. I would really appreciate that. And if you could like the video also, that would obviously be awesome for me. So yeah, that's it. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.